we're allowing the people to do ministry in the local church and tell us, as the superintendent in our district office, what they're doing so we can support them. So we're working at it in that way, believing that the local church is the main place that we do ministry. So they're feeding back to us. We hear them, and so it's been amazing how it's worked across the entire district while still doing some local geographical missions within the churches.
Hello, this is Pastor Terry Goodman, and I want to welcome you to the Wesleyan Connection. This podcast is primarily for the clergy and laity of the Holston Annual Conference. Join with me now as I take a look around the connection and share some of the things happening in the churches of our annual conference. Welcome to another Monday Morning with a DS. Today I'm talking with David-Tabor, who's the district superintendent in the Tazewell District. David and we go back to a meeting that we had in Knoxville years ago at I believe it's the Holiday Inn World's Fair Convention Center. There was a big conference-wide meeting going on, and David and I ended up being roommates for a couple of nights there at the Holiday Inn, and I learned about him and his family. I believe he was at McKendree at that point in time, down in the Chattanooga district, and just a couple of years after that, I ended up following David at McKendree there in the Chattanooga district, and then I moved up to the Tazewell district, and David followed me. He became the district superintendent after my being there a couple of years. And so we've known each other on and off through the years, and he's got a unique sense of humor. Don't confuse him, though, for a Tennessee fan. He's a die-hard Alabama fan. So those are fighting words if you bring those up with David. But I've enjoyed getting to know him through the years, and I hope that you will enjoy this interview as he shares with us about the Tazewell District. And for those of you that have never served in the Tazewell District, I was there for 7 years. It's a big district. As a district superintendent, he covers a lot of territory. And, I just sort of stayed in the Bluefield area. But, if I had to go to the other end all the way up to Pearisburg, that was a haul. That was a trip. And as a district superintendent, David covers that big region that is the Tazewell District, a beautiful part of God's creation. Well, enough of me discussing Tazewell District and the beauty of it. Let's get right in to the interview. Okay, I'm speaking with David-Tabor, the district superintendent of the Tazewell District. Let's begin with a description of what your district is like geographically, in case those folks in Chattanooga have never envisioned the splendor of Tazewell.
Tazewell is 7 parts of 7 counties in 2 states, which include Virginia and West Virginia. It goes from the coal fields of Buchanan County all the way to Giles County, which is roughly 40 minutes from Blacksburg, where Virginia Tech is. It is very mountainous. It is one of those places that it's about 3 hours across on flat land. It's about 4 hours across because of the mountains, unless it's wintertime, and then sometimes you don't get across all of it, and so because it's such a beautiful place. But it's one of the most gorgeous places I've ever lived, and I can say that without any hesitation. It's a lovely place to be at with great people, but it is an expanse of about 4 hours across into mountainous territory.
Well, when you think of a district with that kind of geographic breadth to it, how do you go about doing ministry on a district level?
We do it on district level through Missional Hubs. We've developed the Missional Hubs through a group of folks that are laity and clergy who work together to develop the hubs. The hubs originally were set up across the 6 regions of the district by geographical areas. And that's how they began, by doing geographical work in those areas where we did mission work in the specific geographical areas. It's now changed to where pastors and laity are working with different pastors and laity in other areas, doing work across the geographical areas and different regions of the area, so that the ministry of mission becomes a central focus of everything we do. We do still have geographical workings within the area, that does a great job, but we're allowing the people to do ministry in the local church and tell us as the superintendent in our district office what they're doing so we can support them. So we're working at it in that way, believing that the local church is the main place that we do ministry. So they're feeding back to us. We hear them, and so it's been amazing how it's worked across the entire district while still doing some local geographical missions within the churches.
Now, back when I was still a member of the Tazewell District, we had applied and received a grant for a church and community worker. How does Brooke Ashley, I believe is her name, how does she fit in with the overall scheme? Because not every district has a church and community worker.
No, and Brooke is unique in the sense that most church community workers have a project they're assigned to. Brooke's project is the Tazewell District, and so she works the length and the breadth of the district just like I do. She's worked in backpack ministries, feeding programs, starting the Elk Garden School project, which she's involved in heavily at this moment. We've got the trailer ministry project in Giles County that has just started. She's been heavily involved in that. The work in Buchanan County, she's been involved in their projects as far as the freeway ministries, the trail ministries there, the backpack ministries there. She's working with after-school programs. It's really the length and breadth of the district is what she's been doing, so she fits in that way. It's been a very unusual ministry in the sense that it's different than what most church community workers do. But she's adapted well to it. She's done a great job with it. Her personality lends to everything we're trying to accomplish. And she was on the developing team for the Missional Hubs, so she helped develop that so her work could be carried out better throughout the district, and that has worked amazingly well with that.
When you think of the district, you've got, I was in Bluefield, and then you've got Tazewell, and then the various other towns and so forth. What kind of ministry, are there any specifics that you can talk about? Is there something that some church that's doing that's really making a good impact for Jesus Christ in their community?
Well, we'll start with what I mentioned before, the Elk Garden School, which is a ministry of the entire district, but it's really a ministry of the churches in Russell County and the southern end of Tazewell County. They're the ones that are really involved in it. And it is an old 100-plus-year-old school that had been closed and that we have taken over. We're actually renting it at this moment, have taken over, completely redid the inside of it. This inside there now has complete computer center. We're working on that for tutoring centers, which hasn't happened yet, but that's part of it. The library that was there originally has been restored with the books in it. There's a training center on the top floor that's used by the county, Russell County, to work in there to train people who are out of jobs to get jobs. There is a clothing area that is a resale store that we wondered we'd have enough gifts for, and now we don't know what we're going to do with all the gifts we have, but keep bringing them. Don't slow them down. And now we're also in the process of doing an emergency food pantry in there. There's a community garden there that works for the whole community. And then this summer, we finally got all of our stoves and everything in, so there'll be cooking classes and things like that for the community to learn how to cook and prepare the foods they're taking out of the gardens, how to care for themselves, and work through that process. So we've got that one that's there that's just going way beyond what we thought it would do. It's been amazing to work and watch and work and be part of. I also have in Rich Creek, the church there has opened. This has been an idea of the Missional Hub, but the Rich Creek Church has taken over this. They've opened up a trailer, bought one in one of the poorest trailer parks in that county. It's really sits in the middle of it. They've bought the trailer, they've renovated the trailer, they've renovated the land. They have this real neat book box out in front of it that people can come and get books for free. They can return them or keep them. People keep filling them so that it stays full. And then they opened up what they call K-Motion 142, which is the trailer itself. And they opened it up for the first time for their tutoring centers last week. Had 9 kids for the first tutoring center time. Had one person, one child that had always been very terrible at spelling, came in worked with that child over the week. The child made the first 100 they'd ever made in a spelling test in their life. I mean, the tutoring aspect there is their beginning. There's a whole lot more planned in that center than is happening now, but it's brand new. I mean, it's just finally got the trailer ready, finally able to open up, finally meeting the standards they have to. And so they're starting their process of doing what they're going to do, and it's just a fabulous thing to watch as that happens. We've got about 30 ministries, and this is not fair to all of them, but pick out another one.
I know, it's hard to choose.
Pick out one more. Cedar Bluff United Methodist Church has started a diaper ministry for children who are 0 through 3. One day a month they open up their church for diapers to be given out. There's wipes and all the different things that go with that are given out free. Again, they wondered if anybody would show up for that, wondered how they would get their diapers. It's been amazing to watch the grants and the people who have come and helped them with that, and the folks who come through that, and they get the diapers and the lotions, and they make personal contact with the church. And I don't know if y'all know how diapers cost, but diapers are not inexpensive. And the fact that we can give diapers for a family that lasts almost a month, not quite, but almost a month, and help them through that with the little children, it's just been amazing to watch them come in. Watch them come in with their smiles. They know each other, and some of the families are getting to know each other, which has affected the church itself. And so that ministry is happening once a month. And these three ministries are brand new ministries that have happened in the last year and have come on board and started working. So it's been amazing to see them happening. If you start talking about backpacks and after-school programs, and there's an after-school program now at Main Street. I don't have the latest numbers on Main Street's after-school program, but my little girl is part of that after-school program, and she says there's 100 people there. I think there's about 45 or 50, but she said it feels like
for a child's counting ability.
Right. And so, and she just loves it. I mean, so the Main Street after-school program and their Celebrate Recovery has become a huge part of the committee, the county, and the Missional Hubs. And
so it sounds like a district that I would consider sort of a rural kind of district is still able to make a very big impact in lots of different places, from churches of all different sizes in all kinds of communities.
Exactly.
In other words, the ministry and the message of Jesus Christ can happen anywhere.
Anywhere. And I would be remiss not to talk about anywhere. Bland County, with the Ministerial Associations, not just our hub. The hub and the Ministerial Association got together, and they now have a children's program in the school 1 day a week on Wednesdays, in which about 35% of the school is participating in. So the ministry can blossom anywhere. Rural, city, no matter where you are, ministry can happen if there's a vision for the ministry to happen.
Let me switch gears just a little. You are an elder in the church, and typically elders in the church serve churches, but you've been appointed as a district superintendent to serve the church in that way. When you made that transition from serving in a local church to a district superintendent, what was something that you had never really thought of, or that you never really understood the role of the DS to be? What caught you by surprise, I guess, when you became a DS?
The total scope of the ministry. I mean, I was not prepared for the totality of the scope of what being a district superintendent is within the district, within the annual conference, within the jurisdiction. I'd pastored pretty large churches before, but the scope of this, the caring for people that I knew happened, but I didn't see how it happened on the level I do, the concern for children who move. I knew children move because I'd moved my children, but the work that goes in to worry about those children, it's just the total scope of everything that happens within it. And then the district superintendent's been now called missional strategist. So now we're working on the strategic plans even more than we were before. To be honest, I haven't changed much what I'm doing because I was already there, but I'm learning how to do that better and further. But the scope of this is just absolutely phenomenal, that you work through and deal with and participate in, and then the brothers and sisters on the cabinet, the ones I serve with, my colleagues, the work that we do together. I never thought about how important it is for 12 people, 13 counting our bishop and 14 counting the bishop's administrative assistant. All those together that work with that is such an amazing thing to watch, because each thought process, each thinking of how you would do something, never thought about how that would come together and work as a group as we do. So it was just amazing. But the total scope of this is absolutely phenomenal.
2 final questions. The first one is, what is the passion within you that drives you to stay in ministry? What burns in your heart?
It's still just the people. I mean, this being with the people of the churches, knowing that their souls are so important to God, that I've been given the right, the privilege to be with the different folk of the different churches. I wake up every morning and ask God, how can I serve these folks better today than I did yesterday? Sometimes I do it well, sometimes I don't. But it never changes about thinking how the Holy Spirit works through each person in each of our churches and how important each person is. It's just so essential to me. So I get up every day thinking, how can I serve you today, Lord, for these dear folk that you've placed me in a place that I can serve them? And it's always about service, always about caring for, always about loving. Do we not do that right sometimes? Yeah, we don't do that right sometimes. But it's not because we don't want to. And then the passion of our pastors who want to serve. And I guess I never understood the total dynamic of how different our pastors are. But they all have the same goal in mind, is serving their Lord and Savior. So that's just a passion that works with me that I just can't help. I get up in the morning excited about being with the people.
Good. Now here's the most difficult question I've asked all day long.
Okay.
What is your favorite dessert?
Favorite dessert? Well, since I'm not allowed to eat dessert right now, any dessert would be a favorite dessert. But Italian cream cake would be my favorite
Italian
dessert.
cream cake.
Without any question. If I go to a plug for a restaurant, go to Litton's in Knoxville, they got Italian cream cake, and that's why I can't go there right now, because I go and there's going to be a piece of eat if I walk in that building, no matter what. I'm supposed to not eat. So that's it. Italian cream cake.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your passion with us, David, and the story of what's happening in the Tazewell District, and continued prayers for you and your ministry there and the ministry of the churches in Tazewell.
Well, thank you for letting me express about it.
You're welcome. This is Pastor Goodman. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Wesleyan Connection. Be sure to check back often for more podcasts.